If you're in the market for a 2-row or a 3-row, you're going to want to consider this Kia Sorento. I say that because for its size, this is one of the best vehicles of this size. It's not as big as some of the bigger 3-rows like the Telluride, but it's not as small as some of the other 2-rows. It's just right in the middle, and it's a great value. Today we're going to take a detailed look at the exterior, the interior, which is really nice, and take it out on the road for a test drive. Let's get started. Real quick before we get started, my name is Nolan. I do full reviews like this every single week, but also I have a couple other Sorento videos of a couple older models and even just last year's model and the hybrid. So be sure to check that out if you're interested in that, as well as a couple Telluride videos if you want to jump up in price and size. But let's jump into it. All right, y'all, let's take a look at the exterior details of this 2022 Sorento SX Prestige X line. Now the trim levels will start at the base LX, S, EX, SX, SX Prestige, and more models now can get this X line package. So the X line package is like an appearance package, things that I'll talk about as we go through the vehicle, even on the inside. But Kia for 2022 gets this new logo. You'll see this on all the different Kia brands. If you have that logo, then it's a 2022 model. You're going to find LED headlights and LED fog lights. The fog lights are going to be on the EX trim level and higher. You've got this running light that runs under the headlight that will turn into the blinker. These are the projector headlights, but you'll get reflectors on some lower trims. As you can see, there are parking sensors up here. The blinker turns in right there, and I have a night video showing off how well these Sorento headlights do if you want to check that out. And this paint color is called Wolf Gray. We've seen this Wolf Gray on the Telluride before. I think it looks really nice, especially with the X-Line package, the accents, like these matte finish wheels. These are actually 20-inch wheels. You've got black mirrors, some black X-Line badging right there. What do you think of the design of this Sorento overall? Dimensionally, it's only 189 inches long, so significantly shorter than like the Telluride or other 3-row crossovers that are closing in on more like 200 inches. So it's a lot different. Plus, this X-Line actually gives you about an inch and a half or so more ground clearance. So this has 8.2 inches of ground clearance, and we get LED taillights back here. Again, check out the night video if you want to see more details on that. All-wheel drive or front-wheel drive, big Sorento badging, and some accents back here too. One more thing is the X-Line gives you these elevated or bridge-like roof rack up here. So you got more clearance to fit more items, just a more rugged appeal here. Now when it comes to cargo space, for its size, I'm gonna emphasize this, it has really good cargo space. And you get the smart lift gate, where if you just stand next to the back of the vehicle with the key fob for a few seconds, it'll automatically open. That comes in handy if you have balance issues. The whole foot waving thing can be a problem, or if you actually really have your hands full and you don't want to have to bobble things around, this can be nice. I was carrying a kitchen sink. I just walked up to the back of it and it opened up. I didn't have to do anything. It can be really handy. Now let's take a closer look at the cargo area. So behind the third row is where things are going to really be pinched in a vehicle of this size and a lot of 3-row SUVs in general. You can fit a carry-on suitcase or just a backpack back here. It's not the widest of areas, but folding things down is super simple. All you gotta do is pull this, the headrest will go down, then you just kind of guide it, and there it goes. Nice and flat. A lot of you will probably use this like this because this is how a lot of 3-row SUVs get used, and you've got a really flat load floor, nice and wide, good space overall, good width between the wheel wells, and under here you still get a little bit of extra storage plus your jack kit. I love these little hidden storage compartments. Plus you'll find these little cargo net hooks right there, and maybe not a grocery bag hook or big enough for that. These are for the seat belts so they don't rattle around back here on both sides. You've got a 12-volt power outlet, and we even have power folding second row seats on this trim. There's no spare tire under here, but there is a spare tire up under the body of the vehicle. And the thing with these power folding seats is you don't have to hold it. You can just press that button and it goes down. That one did not go down as much, but you still get a really nice flat load floor with these captain's chairs. I think this looks great. It's going to accommodate a lot of stuff for you. Now closing it, the only difference compared to the foot waver one, if you just wave your foot on those, it will close. You can't just walk away and expect it to close. You got to actually push the button. I know, not a big deal. Now with Kia's key fob, you still get the logo on here. Remote start on here as well. Plus, I like the layout with the buttons on the side. It works well. And the smart key system works like this. It's just this button to lock it or to unlock it. And you've got power folding mirrors on here too. And taking a look at these front seats. Now, the front seats are going to vary quite a bit depending on the trim level, down to cloth, all the way up to this Prestige model with the 3D embossed leather. This is the rust leather on the X-Line trim, and I think it looks really nice. And you won't believe this, but we now get 14-way power adjustment. That includes thigh extension to go right there. You got your height and your tilt, your forward, backwards, recline, and 4-way lumbar support. This is fantastic. You don't find this in upper trim levels of every other 3-row SUV either. So this is great. You still get a manual tilt and telescoping steering wheel. And a lot of trims are gonna have these seats heated. They heat pretty well. These seats are also ventilated on this trim, so heated and ventilated. What else can you ask for? The steering wheel is also leather wrapped here. Obviously, we're the top trim. We've got a heated steering wheel, and let me tell you, this thing gets really hot. It's only a 1-way heated steering wheel, but it's very nice to hold on to. And comfort in here is good. I've got to say, I don't have any complaints. I love the 4-way lumbar support. I love the adjustability of it. If you're sharing it with somebody, you also find 2-position memory settings on here too. Now, climbing into the second row, things are still really impressive here. So first of all, look, you still have this rust color interior right here. Even this upper material is a softer material, and this trim is very nice as well. I love this bottle holder that sits up tall, and it's even square so it can accommodate some other drinks. Really large grab handle where you could set something in there too. There's a little storage area kind of hidden down here for a smaller bottle. One big addition for 2022 is the rear seats can now be heated. Take a look at that. You got 2-tier heated seats back here in the Sorento. That was only for the Telluride, but now you can get it in the Sorento. Really, my only complaint with the back seat of this Sorento is that the captain's chairs are the only way you can get the top few trims. If you want a bench seat, you have to go to the lower trims, and if you want captain's chairs, you have to go to these upper trims. You don't get an option. Sitting behind where I like to sit at 5'9", I've got good knee space. This is where my seat would normally go. We've got air conditioning vents back here. You've got a 12-volt power outlet and a USB port down there. Plus, you get a USB port in the back of each front seat, so you are set. Another nice little feature is this little pocket on each seat. You can slide a phone or little drinks or toys or whatever in between there. For you parents, there are some pretty easy to access anchors on both seats. These are folding armrests that can ratchet and stop at different points, so you're comfortable. These second row seats can scoot forward and backwards, so you can scoot them up quite a ways. They can also recline quite a ways back as well. Easy to get comfortable back here. The only thing is, with these air vents, you know, those are the only ones back here. I wish there were maybe some overhead air vents, but we have this panoramic roof, so something to keep in mind. Now, getting into the third row is really easy. You've got a couple buttons. You've got one down there that you can push, or there's one up on top. Literally, just push it and watch that. It automatically slides out of the way as far as it can go to give you this room to get in. Okay, now sitting behind this seat, kind of in the middle of its track, you can see I actually still have enough knee space right there. That one is all the way back. That one would be very tight, but you could still have somebody sit here and have enough legroom for them. There's this middle area that you can come through as well. One perk is you still get a little storage area over here, a bottle holder, and you got a USB port on each side. The only thing is that there are no air conditioning vents for the third row specifically, and obviously it's not really adult friendly height wise, but if you're mid 5-foot level, you should be able to fit back here pretty good. So kids, mother-in-laws, they'll all be good back here. Now, climbing into the interior of the Sorento, you're going to be impressed with the features that you get and some of the materials that you get too. First of all, starting over on the door, this X-Line gives us a simulated matte wood trim. This actually feels really nice. It looks nice. I like the matte feature to it. Large grab handle, soft material up on top of the door, even some stitching here, soft armrest, and a really big grab handle. The bottle holder is really skinny. My large bottle does not squeeze down in there, but you've got a little storage here too. I'm going to be a little more brief in this interior overview because I've already covered the Sorento, but I told you about the heated steering wheel. I love the layout of the buttons on here. I like the little knurled feeling that you get on top of, if we can focus, on top of those buttons. Everything works well on here, and you even got some paddle shifters behind the steering wheel if you want. On the screen, you'll see a little tire pressure monitor display that just came on. I'll get that fixed before we go on our test drive. This display is fully digital on this top Prestige model, otherwise it'll just be the inside information, and it's really not going to change that much because it's the same information that you see on this big display is what you're going to see on that smaller display for the most part too, and it's going to be in the middle. You can decide what you want to see, driver assist features, compass, things like that, or your trip computer information. One difference though, as you change your drive modes, things will change up here as well. For those of you that really like materials, it is soft up there. It's got a soft dash. You've got the same matte wood looking trim on the side here. Piano black right around here, and a lot of piano black coming down here. But overall, I like the functionality of the interior. And this is the larger display setup. You still have some actual touch buttons on the side for shortcuts, which I like, where you don't have to dive into a bunch of menus. The overall screen is easy to customize. You can go to setup, and there's a lot of different features and customizable settings that you can do on here as well. I've got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto plugged in right now. Go ahead and back out. It does take up the whole screen if you want it to. It works well. This has to be wired in with this screen, so you do have to be plugged in. If you have the smaller 8-inch screen on lower trims, it will be wireless. Now we go into backup camera mode right here. You've got a moving backup camera. You can see a 360 camera. You can look around the vehicle. Check it out over there. You can even zoom in a little bit. This is nice. I'm glad Kia offers this. Just down from there, you've got dual zone climate control with a 3-tiered automatic system, so you can adjust the fan speed even on automatic setting for you and your passenger. Down a little lower, you can cover up this whole area. You've got 3 USB ports, all USB type A, and this is a wireless charging mat, and your phone can go all the way down there. So even if you do have it plugged in but you want to store your phone there, there will be room for it to be plugged in too. So this is a nice little area. Your heated and ventilated seat buttons are right there. And a quick note, one thing I really like about this Sorento, this is probably just me, this little air vent right here. It blows directly at your thighs, especially in the summer when you're hot and sweaty. That can be nice. Back here, you've got some good sized cup holders and bottle holders. They've got accommodation rings in them, accommodate everything I've tried to throw in them. We've got our drive modes right here. You just spin this. You can press this to lock your center differential for a little more off-road traction. And then heated steering wheel, brake hold, downhill descent control, parking brake, parking sensors, parking camera, and auto stop start. An extra little cubby right here and an extra little cubby right here. I found that this works well for sunglasses because we don't have an overhead cubby. This armrest is nice and padded. It won't slide forward, but as we get in here, we've got this removable storage area and a pretty big bin underneath. There's just no plugs in there. Kia gives us a locking glove box here. Automatic dimming rearview mirror right there. Up here you get LED interior lighting, and check it out. We've got this large panoramic roof in here as well. You know, you would think that Kia would make you wait or go up to the Telluride to get so many of these features, but you get them on this Sorento. And I love that they didn't hold back on most items. Now under the hood, Kia actually gives you 4 different powertrain options, from a base 4-cylinder, a turbo 4, to a hybrid, to a plug-in hybrid with 32 miles of pure electric range. But a lot of you are going to end up with this particular one. This is the turbo 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine with 281 horsepower, 311 pound-feet of torque, and an 8-speed dual clutch transmission. Miles per gallon is going to be several miles per gallon better than the Telluride, as you would expect, depending on front wheel drive or all-wheel drive. We have all-wheel drive right here. You'll get anywhere from 24 combined to 25 miles per gallon combined. The only complaint I have about this is that the 8-speed dual clutch is not the most enjoyable to drive day to day, but we'll go for a test drive. All right, y'all, we are now behind the wheel of this Kia Sorento, and I like most of what there is to offer with the driving of this, except one thing. It's the transmission. I'll talk more about that in a little bit, but this is actually still fairly peppy and fun to drive for what it is, and it's quiet, it's comfortable, it's very well rounded, and I really don't have that much to complain about except for the transmission. Now right off the bat, this does have good torque, so you don't really have to put the pedal down hardly at all. In fact, its happy place isn't with the pedal down, it's with just little bits of throttle. Even merging, passing people, just a little bit of pedal, and it gets that torque up pretty quick. Now you might dismiss it because it has a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, but with this turbo on here, it's got 311 pound-feet of torque, so it is pretty punchy. As far as handling goes, this handles well, and because of its smaller stature, I feel like it handles better than the Telluride. It also feels a little punchier than the Telluride too, even though I prefer the Telluride's naturally aspirated engine. It's going to have more horsepower, although this does have more torque, and it's very impressive with it. It really just depends on your driving dynamics and what you like. Ride comfort in here is also good. The Telluride's comfortable, this is comfortable. This isn't going to be maybe quite luxury comfortable or smooth, but I haven't had any rattles in here, and it's still comfortable to drive a family around. I haven't had any complaints from any passengers at all. Now I'm going to put us in sport mode, and you'll see the gauge cluster changes a little bit. That's going to keep the RPMs higher, make it a little more aggressive driving. But you don't really need a sport mode in here to get good power. It's still pretty punchy. And we have all-wheel drive, pedal down. And it gets you up to speed quickly. From 0 to 60, it's not a burner, but it's still quick. And this transmission is quick. It snaps, it snaps, it snaps. It just goes to the next gear very quickly. Handling is good if you want to push it a little bit. It's totally fine. If you live in hilly, curvy areas, you'll be comfortable driving the Sorento around. Now, my complaint with the transmission is that it's a dual clutch transmission, and at low speeds or slowing down, it is jerky. It's just the nature of this transmission. I've been in other dual clutch transmissions that are not so jerky, but this one is not my favorite. Now, performance-wise, it performs well, but on a day-to-day driving aspect, you're going to hear it and notice it and feel it, and it's annoying. At least I do, so something to keep in mind. But handling in here is very good. I'm going to go back into just smart mode. In fact, I'll go to just comfort mode. Comfort mode. Passing power is great. I really don't ever question whether or not I can get around somebody passing wise, and this has all of the safety and driver assist features you would want. The lane centering technology, it's got the radar cruise control, the smart cruise. We've got, when we turn our blinker on, you've got a camera down there as well, which is pretty impressive. You got blind spot indicators in the mirror. So I mean, you're totally loaded with features, and I'm just going to let it kind of steer us right here because it can, and it does a really nice job. Now, compared to the Telluride's a little bit bigger, probably a little bit softer, doesn't handle quite as well. Road noise in the Telluride is a little bit less, but this is still fairly quiet. I've got decibel ratings on interstate speeds and on highway roads, and it's done good on all of them. So really, a very well-rounded, nice driving 2- or 3-row SUV can compete with both of them, and it's a great offering. So to wrap things up on this 2022 Sorento, there's a lot to like about it. For a 2-row or a 3-row vehicle, it's a great size. It's not super big, but they did an excellent job of providing good space inside for your passengers, nice amenities and features for the price point, and you just get a good value overall. Now, obviously, if you go all the way up to the bigger vehicles, you'll get a little bit more space, like the Telluride, for example, some nicer features, but the price is gonna go up too. So starting price point is attractive here, and even at this top end, most expensive model, you're not as expensive as some of those other 3-rows. So let me know what you think down below of this Kia Sorento. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, a thumbs up would be super helpful, and subscribe for more. Have a great day.